Don't spill your water. Welcome to Beyond the Basement, the complete
Attack on Titan podcast.
That's
where
right.
we will spill all the tea.
It's time for episode 24. This one is called Mercy. Mercy.
I think it's called Mercy because I'm like, Mercy! The whole time.
Now,
No.
we'll get into why it's called Mercy, but why don't we begin with a fairly quick recap, and then we'll get into why it's called Mercy.
But first, a word in Japanese.
Okay, go ahead.
I can do it. For all of our Japanese listeners, please correct me terribly
For all of
afterwards.
We
All
apologize
one of
in
you,
advance for
or
insulting you
less.
and your people.
To you 2,000 years in the future. Yeah, I'm trying not to offend anybody. I'm just trying to enjoy and learn and be part of. Konnichiwa. Watashi wa Sensei Peter. Gori wa Eric. Rachel. Dakusei. Watashi wa Matsuda. Gori wa Dakusei.
Me too, man.
Yeah.
Totally. 100%.
Hi.
Is everyone tracking?
Just say hi.
Okay, hi.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right. And back to you.
I'll have to bleep that one out.
Okay.
All right, so back to our regularly scheduled content, though I feel like we should all be learning Japanese. All of us.
I am.
All of us weebs.
Look,
I'm not a weeb,
I
but
started.
Rachel just
Right
started.
here.
Where you at, dog?
I did it. I downloaded the thing. I did my first lesson already and
oh my
everything.
goodness. And there's even a Yoshi icon. All right,
It's
so
an owl, Eric.
to recap, that is an egg. It's a Yoshi egg, if I've ever seen one.
It's
Look,
an owl.
that-
Okay, that's a Yoshi egg. Yeah.
Okay.
That thing on the
Sorry,
screen looks
I
like Yoshi egg? That's not the Yoshi.
I
The other
misunderstood
thing.
what icon you were referring to. My
The
bad.
one that looks exactly
Like a Yoshi egg?
egg.
All right, so now that you've hit the skip button a few times to get through all of our
Sorry, I'm an idiot. I
ramblings, which we
apologize.
tend to do, we love you. Please
Okay,
stay.
it's too hot. I can't do this. I'm
And
sorry. I love you.
know that this episode 24, begins with the great flashback that actually finally reveals all the things.
Finally.
Which I really like this and can appreciate this style of storytelling, but it does feel a little overdue because they've been like giving you every hint
All the
possible,
hints, all the
and when you know
hints.
ahead of time, you're like, look at all these hints. But when you don't know ahead of time, you're like, I didn't know this was coming. I'm still so shocked.
And you're kind of like, just get to it. Just tell me who. Like, I need to know.
Anyways, they finally get to the flashback where they explain how they've deduced that it was Annie. Now, if you've been tracking with this podcast, you'll probably have already picked up on that stuff. We've more or less pointed it out without actually spoiling anything, but they pretty much explain all of that stuff in the beginning part of this this episode. And then we kind of cut back to our current heroes and the state that they're actually in, with Annie having just transformed. She goes ballistic, kills a bunch of dudes just by transforming, and then goes to like reach after Eren and Mikasa. So they go to Plan B. So Plan A was to capture her, and as we discover in the flashback. Plan B was to basically have Eren transform and then capture her, but Eren can't transform. And we find out it's because he's having doubts or something. There's not a clear goal. Like, basically, there's some internal reasoning, which we will get into.
Happens to a lot of guys.
Yeah, happens to everyone. Some internal reasoning as to why he can't transform. So, in that moment of weakness, Annie's giant foot comes through the ceiling and crushes Eren. Shortly after Armin and Mikasa have already fled to try and go and improvise, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually, in the Facebook description for this, I actually put the scouts go to Plan B and then Plan C, also Plan D and I don't know, maybe Plan E and I don't know. They get quite a ways through the alphabet on this one. So anyway, so they take off. Eren's left in the rubble. Mikasa fights. I can now say her name. She's not the female Titan any longer. It's Annie.
It's freaking Annie.
Annie. It's freaking Annie. It's been Annie the whole time. All right. So she goes to fight Annie. Armin tries to convince Eren to like transform. I mean, that's the gist of the entire episode, to be perfectly honest. Anyway,
It was very satisfying.
we also get a couple of clips of Levi and Erwin. They're to the not chopping block, but like literally speaking, but they're on their way to probably get in trouble with the government. And Erwin's like, nope, Titan transform. It's time to get into gear.
How convenient.
Jean jumps out, blows his cover, and is like, all right, it's time. So everybody gets their ODM gear on. It's time to go to freaking war. Erwin actually gets like cornered and they point guns at him, and it's very silly, but it happens. And then the episode ends with everybody's in trouble. The world's falling down. Mikasa's on the ground. I wonder how many more times I can rhyme. And then Eren finally finds it in himself to be like, all right, dude, F it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to transform. And then as if the episode where they fought previously wasn't satisfying enough, I feel like it's almost the same level with this one.
Yeah.
Because he gets that last swing in and then, to be continued. But
I feel like it's more satisfying because he makes contact with her face and breaks his arm off.
Clean.
yes.
Instead of breaking his arm off into the
concur.
ground.
I concur. This is a good analysis. I would call this one more satisfying.
I think
At least
so.
for that reason.
Yeah. He makes contact.
Anyway, so why don't we back it on up to
Beep, beep.
let's start with the flashback. I mean, that really is pretty much the beginning of the episode. But the flashback says a few days earlier, and we get to we jump back into I guess this is just after they get back, maybe.
Yeah.
From the 57th expedition. Levi and Eren are hanging out.
Levi's quite chatty and drinking tea, which is another reason why I'm like, see, Levi is secretly an English aristocrat.
He's got that little like a napkin fluff thing
Yes,
like an English guys do.
Yeah.
My question is, what's in that tea though?
Yeah.
Titan tea? Titan killing tea?
Maybe.
I mean, is it oolong or?
Is that the Titan tea? So they're having their conversation. Levi is chatty, which is like...
And then he's like, don't be silly. I talk all the time.
Yeah.
When Eren points out that he's talking.
It's an interesting contrast from the previous times we've seen them, just like in the barracks or like kind of like downtime when he actually doesn't say anything. So I feel like Eren's actually onto something. It makes me wonder if
Levi has a split personality.
Well, no, I just think that he's like something is off. Like he's like nervous or
That's
something.
why he's talking so much.
He wouldn't have any other reason to like talk so much unless there was like an actual anticipation or like nervousness. So I think it's because of what happens next when the rest of the gang like jumps in and they're like, hey, we know who it is.
Well, he does mention, where the heck is Erwin? What's taking them so long?
Right.
And he grabs his leg because it's in pain.
He remembers that. Yeah, by the way, because of a lot of blown calls by everybody else, I've got a broken leg, which really sucks because it'd been really good to have a fully healthy Levi during that last fight.
Right.
That'd have been awesome.
For sure.
Gotta save some people's butts.
Anyway.
But then Eren says he realizes, hey, he got a broken leg, and partially it's because of me, because I didn't make the call to go full Titan. I tried to wait and let everybody else kind of fight my fights, even though that's what they were asking me to do.
Yeah.
So he's kind of still in the whole debate. And, hindsight's 20/20. We look back at our lives and we say, oh, I should have done this, and I should have done this. And there's a lot of guilt you can carry.
Mm-hmm.
But Levi kind of reassures him and says, hey, man, nobody knows how things will turn out.
Yeah.
You can't predict the future, which is why we're all, we're human and we make mistakes. We make decisions and we try to do the best that we can, but it doesn't really profit us to dwell on all of the horrible mistakes we've made.
Yeah.
We want to pay penance. We want to mourn, but then we got to move on to the next thing. We got to have our focus and our hope in something going forward. Otherwise, you'll just put yourself in a mental institution, like thinking about all the things you could have done. Well, what's the thing you can do right now? Right now we're going to focus on figuring out who the female Titan is and trying to beat her.
Yeah. He definitely says the line that's one of the important lines in every human's life, which is, well, you never know. You never would have known. Like, we'll never know how it would have turned out had you made the other decision.
No one
which is
could
true.
ever know.
You will never actually know. Like, if you're stuck between, 2 decisions or 5 decisions and you make one and not the others, you're never actually going to know the alternatives because it only ever plays out one way. And so why stress over it? It's kind of the idea. It's like, well, you don't know. Like, you think, okay, well, if I would have made this decision, things would have turned out better. If I would have invested in Amazon instead of, Vidster or whatever the other dumb
what was the other one?
tech platforms at the time.
Blu-ray or
HD DVD or something like that. Yeah, it's like, oh, well, if I would have invested in this one and not the other one, I'd be rich now. If I'd invested in Uber instead of I don't know what's a company that went defunct recently. Sears. I would have been rich.
It was around for 100 years.
I don't know who was investing. No, I'm saying in the last 5 years. I don't know who was investing in Sears 3 years ago.
BlackBerry instead of Apple.
Yeah. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, REM. Yeah, you think
Napster
that's the case.
Like
that's your natural conclusion is be like, okay, well, I'd be rich right now instead of not having any money. But even that is not necessarily for certain because what if your dollars were the ones that hired the one guy at Research in Motion that could have made a BlackBerry that was actually better than the other? You get what I'm saying?
You never know.
You don't actually know the alternatives, and so especially in a situation like this where Levi's talking to Eren, you really don't know. And one of my favorite phrases that any preachers ever said to me was, press delete and move on. That's all you can do, and that's actually how you got to do it. Even with really drastic stuff like this, like once you're like you're sorry and it's time to move on. It's time to move on, and as difficult as it is, the thing you got to do is forgive yourself.
Stop thinking about that
Eren
thing.
has a tough time with,
and
but he
learn
needs
from
to.
it if you can. Learn from your mistakes so you don't remake another one, and then move on, and then you can teach people, hey, here's what not to do. I know because I did it myself.
Mm-hmm.
So they're kind of in the midst of this mini bonding moment where Levi's a little chatty. Right then, boom, Levi busts in with the crew, and it's actually like all the like.
I want to bond with Levi.
I know.
I think Levi is a really
Erwin.
complicated character, and I just love him more and more, like all the time, because he does talk. Like if you think back to the courtroom, like he speaks, you can tell he has a deep soul, and he actually, even though he's quiet sometimes, he's thinking. Like there's stuff going on up there.
Yeah, I'm interested to see.
He's not just some crazy bad A warrior that just slices the crap out of people. There's more to him than that. He's both.
If we had to set Levi up with a woman, like, do any picks? Is this bonus episode content?
If Annie wasn't the female Titan.
Oh, true.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They have something in common. Sure. Okay.
So Erwin busts in with the cadets, and it's most the people that we know.
Yeah.
It's not just some randoms, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
It's Sasha and John and Armin and
Mikasa.
And he says, hey,
with Erwin,
we know the female Titan, and we got a plan to devise. And Armin figured it out. And so here's our plan. So they sit down at the table and they roll out
like a literal map of Stohess district. And you're like, all right, we have this whole thing figured out. So your suspicions / the things we said in the last episode were in fact true. It was all a ploy, a very detailed ploy, actually.
And I think anytime you get to a spot where you roll out a map and you got people around a table, that plan's going pretty well. Yeah. Whatever it is, you're already doing really well. So if I'm ever going to do any operation, like if I don't get the map and roll out on the table,
we're not doing it.
We're not doing it.
Yeah.
We got to get the map, roll out the table, everybody stand around. Okay, here, I could come in here. You could go this way. So they kind of lay out where they want Armin and they want Eren and they want Mikasa to lead, to lure the female Titan to go underground, and they hopefully, there they could stifle her growth. And she wouldn't be able to really maneuver around. They'd be able to really trap her there. That's plan A. And as we know,
blows up all to pieces.
As we know from the last episode, she was very suspicious. First thing she did was put on that ring.
Yep.
The special transformer ring, just in case.
She didn't trust anybody. She was hoping. She wondered how long Armin was looking at her like that. Well, from a long time, because you're a freaking punk. So they tried to lure her underground, and she wouldn't go for it. So plan A, down the drain. She transforms, kills a bunch of people. It sucks.
Yeah.
But
so they did make a good point, though. Erwin does here when his little planning session. All right, so plan A sucks apparently, or Armin's execution was bad, or Annie is just very good at what she does.
Annie stops and won't go down under the ground because she knows.
I think Annie's very good at what she does. Anyway, the point he makes there is that this is basically kind of confirms what we were talking about last episode. He says this is our first and our last chance to get her into custody. Because the plan is the Interior is going to take custody of Eren.
Yeah. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to or not, they've already made the government's already made the decision. It's out of our hands. So we've got to take Eren and give him to the MPs. And if once he crosses over that into the Interior, he's going to be the property of the MPs, and we're not going to have Eren on our side to fight anymore.
Yeah.
And so
won't
if that
be able
happens,
to protect him either.
Right. If that happens, that's not good.
Right.
And if female Titan gets away, we won't be able to investigate her or figure out the people who want to destroy the walls. So he says, either way, both will hasten the destruction of mankind.
Yeah.
So we really got to nail this. We got to have Eren transform. We got to capture the female Titan. That way we can at least, I think they're going to try to use that as a argument to say, look what we did. We captured this hidden spy inside the walls who's going to do something weird in the Interior, and we did so with the help of our Titan, Eren, the Shifter. So you guys got to let us keep him.
Yeah. So
can we keep him?
It's a good plan, and it's a good point. And a lot of this I really like because this show is very genius at kind of building the stakes, and so this is sort of setting the stakes for this scene. In the last however many episodes we were they're out in the woods and fighting Annie and trying to capture her and all that jazz. The stakes are high because people's lives are on the line, but the kind of like grander story is lost in like You lose the forest for the trees in those episodes. See what I did there? Anyway, but that's on purpose. Is you kind of dial in, and so the stakes are the lives of the characters that are like around you, which is kind of like important and emotional, but small. In this episode, you realize the stakes are much higher. That's why this line is in here. That's why Erwin is saying the things he's saying is to set you, the viewer, up. Just know that the stakes are Eren's life, probably the existence of the scouts, probably Erwin's job, and literally the destruction of humanity are on the line. So, boys, like, don't mess this up.
This is kind of
I think it's also worth noting, like, when you mentioned the forest scene, there's that moment where Erwin is realizing that he's not risking enough to get to the goal. He's not betting enough. And then in this meeting at the table, he says, we're betting it all on this operation. Like, they're not leaving any cards off the table. They're laying it all out.
He's kicking it into gear. That's a very good point. I didn't realize that was what was happening right there, but you're right.
Yeah.
Which is why he doesn't just have a plan A. He's also got a plan B. And plan B is, hey, if we can't get Annie down there, Eren's got to go Uber Titan mode, and he's got to fight her. And he just lost to her in the forest. So he's got to fight her better than he just did. Now, they should have the advantage. There's not a bunch of random Titans to go eat Annie, save her bacon. There's a bunch of scouts around, hopefully, to be able to actually take down Annie. Then they don't have Levi. This has been a lot easier with a healthy Levi. But they've got a Mikasa. They've got a couple good guys.
They've got Mikasa.
They
got
also have buildings,
walls. They have all kinds of things working to their advantage. So you can kind of see the Erwin wheels like turning here. So something else, though, he points out, which is very critical of this episode and next episode, which is the final one, episode of season one.
Season one.
He points out, they start to get back into the barracks. They're talking to Eren. They're like, we think we know who it is, and we think that it's Annie. And he's like, kind of resisting. He's like, why do you think that it's her? So they begin to present the case. Again, a lot of this is stuff we've covered in previous episodes, but basically they point out that number one, they think that the target is part of the military police. That's why they're doing this in Stohess district. Number two, they believe that she killed Sonny and Bean. And not only that, but that she, or whoever the spy is, trained with Eren in the 104th Cadet. So they point these facts out to him. He's like, how do you know that? They describe the fact that whoever it is would have recognized Eren's face. They knew his nickname, the suicidal maniac nickname. What's the
ODM gear? How did you skill with ODM gear?
Whoever was killed Sonny and Bean because whoever did it had to have been skilled enough to actually kill them and then get away with it. And then Armin points out the fact that Annie's gear wasn't her own gear; it was Marco's gear. Oh, dude! Spoilers section is gonna be hot on this one. Okay, we can't say much. We love Marco as a character. Just know that Marco is important in this moment. Is important because they actually say, I don't know what Marco has to do with this.
And then they
will figure it out.
The last thing on that list, and this is the list we've been pointing out as they've been discovering along the way. We've been trying to give you a little more clarity on this, but they've mentioned each one of these things in the previous episodes, but all kind of spread out. So when you're first time watching, you really don't put two and two together.
Yeah, it's hard to connect all those dots.
But somebody who knows what Eren looks like, which that already narrows it down.
That narrows it down to just number of people who know Eren's face well enough to recognize him.
Period. Right.
To not be tricked by Jean in a wig.
So,
what is an average person's number like that? 100? A few hundred?
Like
maybe most?
How many people know
nowadays
your
with
face?
Social media, that number is huge.
We're on a podcast and we're famous, and everybody goes to youtube.com/beyondthebasementpodcast and subscribes and likes the episodes. So
wow. Now that we're with the jokes. So in general, I don't know, 200, 300 people maybe?
Back when I was a kid before the internet, my family and friends knew who I was. Like maybe 50 people.
Nobody on the interior knows Eren.
Nobody.
That's 200,000 people right there.
Yep.
Maybe a few people on the middle wall know Eren's face. And how many people on the exterior wall?
So it's like a handful of scouts. Eren's family's all dead. So
right.
They don't count.
Anyway, so
most of the people that knew Eren growing up are now dead.
So that already narrows it down from how big the entire population is to I don't know, a couple hundred people. And then it goes down to that person also knew the nickname from the regiment. Okay, so that person has to be in that regiment to know Eren's nickname, right? Then that person also has to be very skilled with ODM gear.
Okay, so somebody
that
who's
narrows
top
it
of the
down
class.
To the top 10 of the class.
Yeah,
right. And then lastly, Mikasa says that the female Titan looks like Annie.
Yes, all these things are true. Eren does not like.
He is in such denial
that any of this is true, which is interesting.
They kind of press Armin. Eren can't accept it. right? And we're talking about this because this is like, hey, you know your buddy who you went to school with, they're a serial killer.
Yeah.
And you're like,
no,
not Bill. Bill, who has the pickles on his sandwich?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
He helped me out with my homework one time.
Yeah,
I owe him.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been.
He killed 24 people? No,
That's
I
not.
don't believe
He buried
it, right?
them in his mom's backyard. What are you talking
No.
about?
Yeah, so this is kind of an unbelievable moment, and this is probably, I don't know how I'd react finding out somebody that I personally knew was a killer. Like, when I was a kid, one of my friend's dad actually did kill somebody.
Wait,
and
really?
it was actually really difficult to process.
Yeah.
But I didn't like personally know him well. You know, we weren't like good friends. We didn't train together. I just knew him as my buddy's dad, right? And so like that alone was hard enough to accept, let alone like actually knowing them and knowing that they intentionally have been killing my friends and comrades and are responsible for the murder of all the people who have died since the walls came down.
It's
my mom especially.
It's a tough pill to swallow. Yeah.
That would be
So
really hard.
Eren's like, let's just be a little bit careful as we fling around accusations about who has been meticulously murdering half of humanity, right?
Yeah.
and it's hard to express Annie, but Armin says, look, she had Marco's gear, right? And
that's
is very suspicious. Why would you have somebody else's gear? Someone who is dead.
Well, because Eren is the one who even points out, he's like, Annie presented her gear, and he's like, no.
Yeah.
It was Marco's.
Marco's
and Marco's dead, and like, we don't know what Marco has to do with it, but
we know
she stole somebody's gear.
Why
she
would
was
you
hiding
have somebody
something.
else's gear? Exactly. And that would explain the fact that they checked everybody's tanks as to who would have gas missing. And hers didn't, because hers wasn't hers. She ditched hers after she used it to kill Sonny and Bean. And I got to point this out right here. Here's Marco doing more work for the squad from beyond the grave than half the squad does.
Okay? Do while they're still alive.
Rest in peace, buddy. You're still supporting the clan.
This is a true salute to you, Marco.
True salute, Marco. Yeah.
Gosh.
So,
dude, can we get t-shirts that just say Marco?
Yeah. We should.
Absolutely.
Gotta
work on that. So,
wholeheartedly agree.
So Eren's very, what's the term? He's
rationalizing and
but
resistant.
He's resistant. But what's the? It's I can't think of the S word right now. Resistant to being able to do something. He's trying to hold himself back. He's like
stifled.
No.
I'll think of it later. Somebody with dictionary.com, let me know.
Dang it.
He's apprehensive essentially about jumping on this mission.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's not go crazy. And they say, listen, there's a risk whether we do it or not. But if we say, hey, we think it's Annie, let's go all in, and it's not Annie, she's cleared.
She's cleared of suspicion. So what do you have to be?
Why are you
There's nothing to lose.
When they say that line, I mean, maybe call me a pragmatist here, and I'm not in Eren's shoes and all, but I was like, yeah, just go with it then. Nothing bad's going to happen to her. Like, you're not going to throw her in jail for no reason.
You clear Annie's name, and you're like, oh, okay, it wasn't Annie. Luckily.
Yeah, at the very worst, you realize, oh, she's your worst enemy, and you need to freaking capture her.
And even Armin says, if that turns out to be the case, I'll feel bad for suspecting her. But at this point, I don't think that's going to happen.
We got to know. The stakes are so high. We got to know who's
There's
who.
There's too much circumstantial evidence to just walk away.
Yeah, so then it flashes back to Eren, and he's like, it's plan B. I got to fight her. Come close.
Oh, no.
And they're running, and they try to run to the opposite they try to run to the opposite end of the tunnel. And Annie smashes down on the squads who were waiting for them there, and now they're trapped in the tunnel.
I think she probably hears them because they're yelling at each other like what to do, and she just...
Well, this is where Armin drops the line about the ring, where he's like, oh my gosh, the ring. He realized, because he had seen her transform with the ring, and he's like, oh my gosh, the ring. She was suspicious from the very start, and he like starts to have his own regrets, like, I didn't do a good enough job. It's his first instinct to be like, oh no, she knew all along. Like, was there not a better way, or like I wasn't good enough here?
She's a cold-blooded killer.
This is the point I was trying to make earlier.
She's manipulative.
Annie is very good at what she does.
Yeah, she is.
That is the thing.
I'd hire her.
For sure.
Like, you need some brownies? You hire Annie. She'll get you those brownies.
She'll get you those brownies and the head of all your enemies. Like, I don't want no blood on these, please. But you see what I'm saying is that Annie is good at what she does in every way.
Yeah.
She is a skilled hand-to-hand combat in-person fighter. She is a skilled deceiver. She is a skilled ODM scout soldier. She's a skilled manipulator. She's a skilled liar. Annie, see, they would keep using the word spy, but like it feels like a loosely used word. Like you kind of like, oh, it's a spy because they don't know who she is. But no. She actually is. She is like full-on espionage, Michael Weston,
Weston Kia.
What's Tom Cruise's
James Bond.
James Bond. What's Tom Cruise's character in Mission Impossible?
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hunt.
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 I said Hawk. I meant Hunt.
Jack Reacher.
Jack Reacher. Like
Yeah.
name your super spy. She's at that level, but
Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne.
Yeah.
How could I forget the
Yeah.
finest
Come
of them
on
all?
now.
She is a Jason Bourne character. She has no emotions too.
Well, that's the thing that she like really uses her advantage.
She stifles all her emotions.
That most men, and a lot of women also really have the issue with is the emotions of getting attached. No problem for Annie.
Yeah.
She's good.
She's the best. She's
Like,
very good at what she
The
does.
little attachment we thought she had with Armin, she was like, yeah, for sure. Let me put on this ring. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah.
Dang.
Which that is this exactly. You're right. She's all calculated. Because even that is probably not. That's not an emotional decision. That's a rational one.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna go along with this because this maybe maybe keeps my cover going. But just in case,
Just in case.
I've got a backup plan. Like, and it's just pragmatic. It's just practical. Like she's not like.
Strictly business.
Yeah. She's
Yeah.
Not, exactly. She's strictly business. And they here's the thing is. Gosh, it's such an interesting like point to make in this series. Somebody who's willing to gamble, somebody who's willing to take a risk, somebody who's willing to bet. In this show, they say that and that whoever's willing to do that the most, basically, is going to win. They've already made that point, but they make that point again here, and they actually attribute that to Annie. And that Armin says that that's actually what makes her formidable. We'll get to that line later, but he actually says that is what makes her a truly formidable opponent, is the fact that she is willing to gamble. She does transform here. Like, she has all the other qualities, all the other calculated qualities of a super spy, on top of the fact that she is highly willing to risk it all for the sake of her mission. She is both skilled and motivated. How do you beat that?
We wish she was on our side.
Even though she says,
please.
I'm a failed warrior right before she goes cuckoo and
Yeah.
gets that crazy look in her eye
So
and then
she
changes.
So she stomped a couple holes. Everyone's freaking out. Eren's like, we got to go plan B.
Yeah, they're talking about plan B and she stomps a hole through plan B.
Yeah. So Eren's like, okay, I got to fight her. He goes to take the bite. It's brutal. It's just blood.
It's
Ugh,
hard
it's
to
like
watch the sound
squirting
effects.
and he
Yeah.
saws his teeth into his hand. It's so
He's like, oh, I can't do it. Not now. Come on. And Armin and Mikasa are taking the psychological approach to there's something blocking it. You need to clear your goal. You need to clear your mind. And he's like, no, I just need to inflict more pain on myself. And it's like, no, Eren, that's obviously not how your power works. And everyone's figured it out but you. So he's going emo vampire again. He's just ripping into his flesh. There's blood coming out of his mouth, and he's crying, in a dark, deep hole again. This is like
it's
his
his MO.
Yeah.
Like if your friends walked in on just the scene and had no context for the show, they're like, what the frick is wrong? What are
You're
you
into some
watching,
weird
bro?
stuff, bro. Yeah. So the reason he's so conflicted, though, is his goal to fight Annie is really, a struggle inside, because this is somebody he trained with. This is somebody he wants to believe the best about. This is someone he just can't believe is this secret psycho spy killer who's been murdering all of his friends, and that's why he's so conflicted.
Yeah. We kind of missed this part. I don't know if this is that important, but she smashes through Plan B when she kills Squad 3. Remember, they're like, let's go to Squad 3, and then she kills them first.
Immediately.
And then that's when they're like,
yeah, they're
all right, go ahead, we'll go.
they're discussing. Yeah, we need to switch to Plan B. Splat. She literally stomps Plan B. Splat.
Comedic
How bad
timing.
would it be to be Squad 3 in that moment? Like, you're
pretty
doing
bad.
your job,
They
man. You're showing
basically
up.
became beetles under her feet.
What kind of is she? She's guessing. How does she know?
I think she can
has,
hear them.
nerves in her feet.
Well, if you
I think
look,
she can hear them yelling at each
if
other.
you look, they were very close to the
To
end of
him.
the tunnel.
Mhm.
There was light, and
True.
so they were only, I don't know.
At the next exit, basically.
Yeah,
of the thing,
yeah.
or-
So she probably could hear and estimated how far in, and did a strategic risk there, and she
Stomp.
smashed section 3.
What was I going to say? Oh, wait. I already did this. Sorry, I'm reading my notes right now. But that line, the Armin line, she gambled it all on not. So, all right, this is worth mentioning because this is actually where he says it. So the foot stomping thing, they're like, wait a second, what? She
Does
wasn't
she
worried
not
about.
care if she kills Eren now?
Yeah, and he actually says, no, she just gambled just now. Like she took the risk to see what maybe she did, maybe she wouldn't. That gambling mentality is actually what makes her all the more formidable. And something we were kind of pointing out before, talking about, is that this willingness or whatever, this kind of risk-taking thing, is something that Erwin actually is talking about mostly. And here we have Armin kind of saying a lot of the same stuff. And so we've talked about this before, but there's this interesting,
Parallel.
not relationship, but parallel between the two characters. And it happens a bunch of times in season 1. This is probably one of the most like, oh dang, like they're almost like saying the exact same things. Yeah. So anyway, side point there. So all right, so he can't transform, and they're trying to be like, listen, buddy, it's her. And Mikasa's like, do you know what you just saw just now?
You saw her.
You literally
transform.
see her like lift off the ground and go inside the nape of the female Titan's freaking neck,
and
dude.
you still don't want to buy it.
You watched it in front of your eyes.
Do you not believe your own eyes? Your own. Yeah.
That's like some of these conspiracy theorists. You're like, bro, we've seen pictures. Everyone's like, this picture's doctored, bro. I'm like, every picture on the internet is doctored. Okay. All right.
That's true.
Dang.
Aaron's out. He's an Alex Jones fan.
He can't buy it. He's like, nope. Government, they did it.
They're turning the frogs into Titans. If you know that reference, I'm sorry.
So Mikasa is the one who has to drop some hard justice on Eren right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
it's awkward.
It is awkward
for everybody.
Because she says, "Listen, do you know what you like? Do you know?" She says, "You still can't fight Annie. Like, do you know what you just saw just now? She killed your comrades. Like, she reacted to your specific suicidal maniac nickname. Like, she talks about like I don't know if she mentioned, but the whole idea is that all right, listen, you've seen all of this proof." Like,
yeah, she hits all the checkpoints.
Yeah, she hits all the checkpoints, and we kind of skipped over this a little bit. I didn't mean to earlier, but wait, no, this is where it happens. This is where the visual parallel between Annie and so. And she goes, "Does it happen here? Or does it happen?
No,
it does. The ring any bells line. It does happen.
The ring
here.
any bells line is in the flashback,
but
so she says
it's happening while he's goes from the flashback to the live action.
But then it goes back to the flashback, I think, right?
Yes.
Because I have this here, and this is all.
She's bringing up what she said to him at the table when he was trying to deny things, and she says, "Does this ring any bells?"
Okay, sorry,
and that's when he's having the flashback.
Yes, my notes are a little bit
It's like
jumbled.
a flashback inside of a flashback.
So yeah, they get to the hard talk. They're like, "Hey, Eren, like, do you know what you just saw just now? You still can't fight Annie." And then it flashes back to them back at the base, having the original conversation about who it was.
When he's saying, yeah.
Because I was like, well, that's weird because it happens in the room. Okay, sorry, my notes were just jumbled. So, all right, flashback again. It's still Mikasa speaking, but she's like, remember, like, whoever killed them, it took skill. You know, they took Marco's gear. She brings up all these points. She says, I think it even looks like Annie. Eren kind of has his outburst there. That's where he's like, we're going to go after her without any actual proof.
That? Yeah.
And then, and like, yeah, that's when they bring up, all right, she'll be cleared if it's not her. And then Mikasa drops this line. She says, does this ring any bells? You fought with her hand to hand in person, like as a scout, and you also fought
like Annie.
Yeah, did she fight like Annie? Is there anything that looked like Annie? And as Mikasa is saying that, Eren's having the memories, and this is like one of the best visual anime connect the dots. Like they show, in slow motion, which we do get to see the actual kick here.
The kick, yeah.
It is a right? It's a roundhouse.
Yeah.
They're spinning back.
Yeah, it's left though. I thought it was a right roundhouse. It's because
is she
right-handed.
She plants her right foot and then lifts up.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like the kick she does, the stance, and they show the parallel, even with her face, like the way her face looks, and you realize, first of all, this tells us a lot about the Titan power. Now, we kind of probably already knew some of this, but like the fact that Eren looks a little bit like his actual Titan. It's not exactly, but same thing with Annie. There is a resemblance.
Yes.
Not only that, but your skill as just a person, your skill not just like fighting, and your like wherewithal, the talents and things that you possess just as a normal human. Some of that transfers over. A lot of that transfers over to your abilities and your prowess in Titan shifting form. And so this teaches us some things there. But gosh, like, when they show it to you here, like in the last episode, they're like, it's Annie. And if you were like me and you're like, who's Annie?
Are you sure?
I'm not. It's been a month. I can't fully. This episode's like, just a quick reminder. Here's who she was, and here's how you know for sure that it's her. And anyway, it's just.
So
he's
flashing back and forth between her stance when she taught him the move, and then when she kicks him in the face as a Titan.
Yeah.
Remember, that's the moment. Okay, since we can spoil it now. But in that moment, Eren actually goes, and like if you're reading the subs there,
it's just an A.
Just a capital A. and ... right as Annie kicks.
He was going to say Annie?
Yeah, we think that's what it was.
And that's why he froze
Annie?
and ate that kick, which she hardened and kicked his head off in a
Yeah.
tree. Which I thought it was a spinning back kick or like a wheel kick, but it looked like it was just a typical like 10 kick, head kick. Think like GSP and Matt Hughes, or think like any kick that Cowboy throws. And anybody.
Oh yeah, Cowboy. That's what. Yeah, that was a Cowboy. Okay, all right, I'm with you.
And you can't generate as much power there, but obviously when you can harden your limbs,
like
that's
diamonds,
enough. That's plenty.
Shine bright like a diamond. Okay, say it.
So that's the quick flashback back to there. So then now we're back in real time again.
And Mikasa's like, "Yeah, it's her.
She
it's
says,
her.
You know who it is. You have to fight." She's like, "You have to fight her. Or are there any special feelings stopping you?" And it's like
awkward.
The most awkward.
She says it with lasers in her eyeballs.
It's like a super close up of Mikasa's face, and she's just got this like glare, like, "Tell me, Eren, is there someone else?" Like,
it's like when the girl who likes you hears about you liking some girl and confronts you about it. You're like, "I don't get away, everyone."
So it turns out Mikasa was trying to save Eren's life, slicing her up, but she's also like, jealousy. Well, hell hath no fury, like. It's like a Mikasa's ODM gear against somebody who also likes Eren.
If you're gonna piss somebody else off on the cadets, you don't want to piss Mikasa. She's the worst one, right? If she can do that to a female Titan, what can she do to you and the girl you like?
I feel like that moment Armin gets a little bit upset too, and he like shoves his blade into his sword. He's like, "We have to do something."
No, he draws his blade. And he points
that's right. He pulls it out. He's like,
"This is too awkward. I got to get out of here, bro."
He's like, I got a plan, guys. I got a plan over here.
Yeah. He's like, "Our quest hangs at the edge of a knife," and pulls out his sword and points and says,
That's
"I got
right.
a plan." Like, thank you, Armin. Gosh, if I could have an Armin for all awkward times in high school when there's like some girl around, like, "Oh, yeah, shink, let's go." I got a plan.
What a great guy.
Yeah. So he says, "Look, I'm gonna run out this side of the tunnel. Mikasa, you're on that side of the tunnel. She'll have to go for one of us.
Right.
And one of us can get free. And we'll put our hoods up and we'll jump out and she'll be distracted.
She won't know who's who. Yeah.
Eren, you get out, you transform, and it'll be awesome."
And he's like, "But wait, no."
Eren's concerned about his friends. He doesn't want his friends to get hurt.
Which is actually the perfect thing. I mean, Armin once again proves what a valuable character he is and how awesome he is, because he's putting the pressure on Eren to get over his emotional whatever it is, because now he's got to choose between his feelings for not wanting to fight Annie or saving the two people that mean the most to him in the world.
Yeah. So he says go. Eren says no. And he's like, "Wait, how are you guys able to fight?"
Yeah.
And Mikasa turns coldly in her Mikasa way and looks at him and says, "We don't have the choice. It's a cruel world."
Oh, dang. Getting that tattooed somewhere.
What a true statement.
It's a cruel world.
Think about that.
Mikasa's face with like, "The world is very beautiful and also cruel," or "The world is beautiful and also very cruel," or whatever. Like that line.
Are you going to have some girl confront you about your Mikasa tattoo and be like, "You have feelings, don't you?" It's going to be awkward. Anyway, so that line, though, is true. And like it's something we've kind of said before. The G.K. Chesterton quote, "Men don't go to war because they hate what's in front of them. They go to war because they love what's behind them," right?
Mm-hmm.
And the world is cruel. We have to fight. That's why we have to fight. If the world wasn't cruel, if anyone was like, "Hey, let's not violate any human rights or commit any treasonous acts or do anything tyranny or
no heinous crimes anymore,
no fascism, no communism, let's not force people to do terrible things, put people in prison camp, let's have no slavery." If all of that just stopped, it'd be awesome. No one would ever have to do any violence.
Right.
And the pacifists, the ones who think that violence, has no place, right? It does beget violence, but violence has no place. They're the ones I think that are in this kind of illusion of like, look, the reason violence exists is because the world isn't a beautiful, awesome, sunny place all the time.
Yeah.
It's because it's a cruel world, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to do something to defend the ones that we love, to protect the things that we care about.
Yeah.
And this is Mikasa's stance, and she said, "Look, we have to fight. We don't have a choice, Eren. You're sitting here acting like there's a choice. There's no choice. Our friends are dying. We have to act. We have to fight. Why? Because the world's cruel, and we have to do something about it."
So they take off.
They take off.
Eren
Mikasa
takes
starts
foot.
sliding.
It's like, quick, good plan. Foot to the
Another
face.
foot.
So Eren takes a foot to the face.
The roof starts collapsing as soon as they take off.
It's such a like avalanche of disaster this episode. Like everything that can go wrong just like immediately goes wrong.
His two best friends leave him and the roof literally crushes him
and
immediately.
the girl that he likes stomps on his head.
God. So she crushes him.
But
Eren's having the worst day of his life right now.
But here's the thing. Because
seriously.
Annie chose to crush him right at that moment, that gave Mikasa and Armin both time. They both get out.
They do. They get out safely. They don't die instantly, and Mikasa gets to do her thing.
You don't want Mikasa getting out and doing her thing because guess what she does? She cuts off Titans. That's her thing,
shreds.
She starts shredding up Annie. It's
Annie
awesome.
Captures her in the hand, and Mikasa does she does the Wait, I can't say that. Okay, but Mikasa does the spinning, crazy flying out.
Yes.
Insanity.
Slices her fingers off as she explodes out of her hand.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Lay a hand on me, I'll cut off all your fingers. It's beautiful and amazing.
So is it Reiner who did that in the forest? He spins out of her hand in the same way?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she busts this freaking sweet move. Then Armin notices that Eren is now disabled.
He goes, "Oh no, Eren has been impaled."
And then he goes down to to talk to Eren. He's like, bro,
you're unconscious now.
Not now. Remember, and he actually gives he does this throughout this episode. They cut back to the scene a bunch of times, but he actually tells him, he's like, remember, you have to abandon something. We'll get into that line here later when he gives the full spiel. But so Mikasa's slicing up Annie. Mikasa goes down. Annie actually gets a good lick on her, throws her down.
I think it's because some of the rubble of the building she was hooked into.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets kind of a area damage type thing.
She tries to slice through the shrapnel, but it gets her.
So then we get this kind of quick little succession, which goes to one of my favorite scenes in this episode. Actually, it's all good, but I really like this scene because it's it builds the intrigue a little bit. But so Annie goes to run off. A bunch of scouts notice her and go kick into gear. Okay, we're gonna go fight after her. Annie's fingers have already come back, or she does her thing where she can focus her healing or something like that, and grows her fingers back.
Jacked up.
And then we cut back to Erwin and the gang. So remember how 2 episodes this whole thing began is the scouts are on their way in through the Stohess district, and they're there as a group. Erwin and Levi and the kind of commanders, the leaders, Hanji, have all been summoned by the interior.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to go give an account for their actions. Eren is going into the military police's custody. So they were on this convoy on their way in. So, but you'll remember, Eren wasn't actually in the seat where they thought it was. It was Jean.
In a wig.
in a wig.
Dressed up as Eren.
He looks very convincing with that wig, I have to say.
That's how you know, height differential.
That's how you know anime is hard sometimes, when the characters don't look exactly like they did in the previous episode.
The clothes have to,
The season 4 trailer gave us a break. Okay, they look different. It's a new artist, I think, and they look a little different.
Definitely different.
So,
good game.
This is when Erwin, because the reason they cut to these guys is they've just heard the explosion and seen the lightning and stuff, and Erwin's all right, everybody, to your places, please.
We gotta go kill this Titan now.
It's up, guys. The gig's up.
We have to assume that a Titan has been transformed, so everybody go ahead and get on with it. And so a bunch of people take off right away.
And there's the MP,
Niall. And the
leader.
Yeah, the leader of the military police. Remember, he doesn't look like the leader because he looks scraggly.
Well, and he kind of sucks at life. But anyway.
He does. He doesn't. He sucks at life. But they're all sitting there wait, Erwin, you're not giving orders right now. Wait, what? What are you doing? He's no, yes, I am.
Well, first Erwin says, Niall, you should probably order your troops to go kill that Titan as best you can. And Niall's You're not giving the orders here.
There's no Titan in here. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is the interior. No Titans.
There would never be a Titan here. Oh God, dude. I even just hearing you guys say the line again, I cringed when I heard it, but I'm dude, you moron.
The pride.
It hurts especially bad
ignorance.
Because it feels too much like real life.
Yeah.
You're look out here, this thing just happened. What thing? That's not what that is.
9/11 could never happen to us. No.
It just did.
Do you not believe your own eyeballs?
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Apparently you don't believe your own eyeballs.
So
Eren.
Niall's
Niall.
No, this isn't happening. And then Erwin's yeah, that's cool. And someone runs up, busts open a chest of ODM gear,
hands it to Erwin.
He immediately suits up all Batman style. I'm and I thought it was Levi at first, and then I remembered, Levi's injured. It's Erwin. Erwin's gonna go fight the female
Levi's
Titan.
standing there with his aristocrat attire on.
And why? Because like Rachel said, they're not leaving anything behind. They're betting everything. Erwin's gonna bet his own life. Their best strategist. He's gonna bet his own life. Why? To fight and to die for this cause, because they don't want the enemies of humanity to win.
Yep.
And Niall's You're not giving me
You can't wear
orders.
ODM gear.
Yeah, and Erwin's like, yeah, that's cool. Hey, everybody, let's go kill this Titan. Go ahead,
All right,
And then
everybody, in the
Jean
gear.
has
So they
already
take off.
taken off.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Jean jumps out of the carriage and takes off his wig, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on?" And he goes, "I want to fight." And then Erwin tells him, "Go to this place and get suited up." And the guy's like, "What's going on?"
John's like, I can't
I can't just sit here and do nothing.
and I can't be in this wig anymore, and don't call me freaking Horseface's name anymore or whatever.
Yeah.
He thinks he looks nothing like Eren at all, and you're like,
It's not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
It's really not.
He's like, I
Anyway.
want to help, which I totally understand. Like when you've just been like literally a decoy the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm more skilled than this. You remember, top 10, me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So then now it's like, Erwin, you're committing an act of treason if you go fight this Titan and save our lives. You know, freaking piece. You don't understand, right?
So then, is that when he orders all of his men to like pull their guns out?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
all
they
draw
all
their
draw their
guns.
They all
They're
draw
like,
their
you're
guns.
not going anywhere. And then,
Levi.
Levi. He's always standing in
God
the
bless
corner
that man.
sarcastically being like, you
He has
idiots.
the best lines. He just drops just like mad trash.
Are
And
you all rubbish brained?
everybody knows
Niall,
he
do
can
you
back it up. So he could, when you talk trash, like it's not a lie if you can back it up.
Yeah,
you know?
it's true.
So they actually cut away from the scene. They actually don't complete this scene in this episode. So the guns are drawn on Erwin, and Levi can't do anything anyway. His leg's broken,
But
so they cut
he
away.
does sarcastically quip back to them.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you all?
Nah,
you all rubbish brain?
You have
idiots."
a rubbish brain.
Yeah, he can't physically maybe beat him right now, but he can at least roast him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can verbally beat them.
Yeah.
So then it causes some people like running away. The chaos of like a Titan in the interior has just like struck everybody.
Mhm.
And again, this whole like sequence is one of my favorite parts because it reveals so much in the episode and it feels so much like real life. So you see citizens just running.
And they're like, "There's
And
a Titan!" Ah!
You see a bunch of military police who remember. Let's just recap.
Don't they have ODM gear
So
on?
they
Yeah,
have
some of
ODM
them
gear
do.
on.
And they're on the roof.
Not only do they have ODM gear on, but in order to become a military police, you have to finish
Right.
top 10 in your class, in which you're given the privilege of going there.
Right.
To the military. So these are supposed to be the elite fighters from each
skilled.
class.
As
Yeah.
Will Smith would say, they're the best of the best of the best, sir.
Yes,
In Men in Black.
100%. Oh, do we have any
And
Independence Day
they're
lines
all
we can
just
drop?
standing on the roofs, staring at the female Titan, rampaging through their town, doing
They're staring.
nothing.
And one of them says, "Is that what a Titan looks like?"
Is that a Titan?
As
They've
Jean is
never
running
even
through the
seen
streets
one.
like, "I'm gonna murder her."
Hey, what are those MP's favorite Disney movie?
I don't know.
Frozen.
Got him.
I was wondering. I'm like, something where they don't move.
Roasted.
Yeah.
But they're
'Cause-
literally standing around. These are supposed to be the best of the best. So here's the thing. The reason I bring this up is because it just says so much about the situation.
Yeah.
So here you have the interior, the privileged upper class, like elites, who we know have some corruption and suspicion and intrigue, and they do bad things. And like, remember Lord Wald, and he's got all his like fine. They think they've hired the finest protection, right? They cherry pick the best warriors to
Yeah.
go and protect themselves, to stay in the interior. And it turns out these best warriors, when faced with their first hint of action, freeze and say to themselves, "That's what a Titan looks like."
Literally, not literally,
The
but
irony here.
the only thing missing is they just need popcorn to just watch.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, the irony of the situation is like they're so corrupt, they're so like bad that like they can't even get this right. Like they can get nothing right. Like they are prepared. Like they aren't even actually prepared. They're so disconnected from the way the status of the actual world that reality is mugging them right now.
Yeah. The hard part about this is you remember everyone who was in Shigashina's first reaction to Titans was also shock, right? You fight, flight, or freeze. Everyone like freezes. Everyone's like, "Oh, Eren was so frozen he couldn't do anything. Hannes is so frozen he couldn't do anything," because when you see a Titan, it is petrifying. It is terrifying, right? So everyone did that when they first saw Titans. Now here's the difference. Those guys never saw Titans before, right? But they went through their military training to fight Titans. Then they go behind the wall. Think about the troops from Shigashina. You got Armin, Mikasa, right? You've got Erwin.
They're hardened
these
combatants
guys
now.
Yeah, these guys not only saw Titans, then they trained willingly to go fight the same Titans that they freaked
had
out,
seen,
right?
yeah.
Remember in the very beginning, Connie and John were like, "What? You've
They're
seen
different.
Titans, right?"
They're different than us.
They're different.
They've seen them.
And so the what's the term? The value of someone who's already seen bad things and still chosen to continue to fight them versus someone who's never seen them at all. It's night and day difference. It's priceless. And so we know we've got some troops on our side who are willing to not just sign up and say they'll do it, but actually to run towards it. And it's proof purchase in Jean. Right now, everyone's running away. Jean's running towards the
He's running
danger.
towards the action. Like, he's running towards the fight.
What a boss.
Like, that is the thing. Like, that's the difference between hero and not, right?
Yeah.
Like police or like first responders and stuff like that. Like, the credit you always have to give them is these are the people that run towards the gunfire.
Danger.
You know what I mean? Or towards the danger, whatever it is. They run into the fire. It's exactly the opposite of human nature. And that's just like, there's something like really, truly admirable about that. And obviously, Jean earns our respect. I mean, he already had my respect, but he
also is sort of noticing them up on the roof doing nothing, and he says, I was going to be just like them.
I could
What
have
was
been.
wrong with me?
He was planning to join the military police.
And dang, Horseface got into him. Suicidal maniac Eren. But we see his progression, his character progression. Remember in the very beginning, even when he had his OEM gear on, when he first saw Titans, he froze several times. He watched his friends get killed. He froze. He did a little bit. He froze, did a little bit, and now he's running towards the danger.
But then I think Marco's death really did affect him. That was what made him choose, I have to fight now. I know what's at stake.
My friends.
Yeah.
Super good.
Yeah, dude.
Which once he gets to Eren, he brings that up again.
Yeah, he runs over. He finds Armin like frantically trying to dig out the rubble.
What's going on?
Eren's bloody.
He didn't transform.
Bodies, sticking there. You're like, good thing you can regen all your body parts here, Eren.
Yeah.
He's been impaled.
He's not looking the best he's ever looked.
He's been impaled, guys.
And
through his lung.
John's like, Eren, what happened? And Eren's like, Armin's like, he couldn't transform. He's freaked out about Annie. And John goes from like, oh, Eren, are you okay? To like,
I'm going to beat your butt.
He realizes like, look, you're having this internal battle. That's understandable. But everyone out is out here dying. And he gets really mad and he says, Marco
didn't give his life.
He starts to say something. We don't know exactly what he said.
He's like Marco didn't have, and then like he
gets too emotional.
But he's yelling at him and he says, I told you one day, because he actually remember he said this line. He said, I told you one day we were gonna have to count on you. That everyone was gonna have to count on you. We're gonna have to put all our trust in you, and this is all you have to show for it. And that's when he says, he mentions Marco's name.
Marco.
The world, humankind, it's all in your hands, and this is what you're doing.
And then Eren like looks through his one good eye, and he's like, ugh. And then it seems like Armin realizes that trying to unbury Eren isn't actually helping him, and that's when Armin starts talking about. I think that's when
Jean takes off. Jean's like, well, it's no use
Jean
here.
leaves first, but I think Jean saying that and then leaving is what triggers Armin to realize.
Yeah, John like throws as much shade as he can and then runs off. And I'm like, dang, good
to
tactic.
Join the fight. He's like, I gotta go kill some Titan.
Is that saying, if before you criticize somebody, walk a mile in their shoes, because that way when you do it, you're a mile away and you have their shoes.
So then Armin starts dropping some lines on this. Armin, this is what, his third time?
He just
talking Eren into like persuading him into being like the man he needs to be.
He's putting
the
his
weapon.
Points in the like inspire tree, and I'm like, let's go.
He's
I need some Armin
it up.
inspiration. Normally you're the constitution of a daffodil, but here you're just busting it out, man.
So he says, there's something I told John, which is that and this is the line we were talking about earlier. So everything Armin's about to say is stuff that Erwin has said either in effect or literally said exactly these same things at a different point earlier on while they were on the 57th expedition. So Armin says, you have to give something up. You have to be willing to abandon everything. Or if you're not willing to abandon everything, you'll get nothing. And he says, you have to be able to give up your humanity in order to rise above the monsters. And this is like the Erwin line. This is the whole idea, is that like there has to come a point where you're willing to put aside emotion and some of your like reasoning and logic, and you
reservations,
have to,
doubts,
reservations.
fears.
You have to take a risk. This is it's kind of a little lost in translation, but you have to be willing to take a risk, which it's not just a risk on your health, it's a risk on your reputation. And that's that's the actual part that's hard for most people when it comes to standing up for something good and righteous. If it's easy, you're probably not standing up for something good and righteous. Just here's a hint. In life, when you say something publicly or online or something like that, and a bunch of people like clap,
and everybody applauds you,
and they all agree, you're probably doing it wrong.
You've either got the most righteous, like 100 friends online.
Right. Yeah, you just happen to be friends with all of the world's most moral people.
Or you're saying something that's already really socially accepted, which that's awesome. You know, we hope all the good and righteous things are socially accepted, but a lot of times...
But that's not the state of humanity.
It's usually not the state of humanity. Usually it's the hard truths that people need to hear, that they don't want to hear, they don't like hearing.
Yeah. And so that's part of the risk. That's actually, like I said, I think it's a little lost in translation here, but I think that is part of what he's getting at, is like abandoning everything. And Erwin's doing it right here as well. Erwin is breaking the law, taking his ODM gear back. He set up a mission that the Interior didn't even know about. Like, he's actually throwing it all on the line this time.
Yeah.
And he's going all in, and like that's what Armin is telling him.
If you're not willing to lose everything, you won't be able to change anything.
Right.
Even a dead thing can go with the current. It takes a live thing to go against it.
Right.
You gotta stand up and fight for something righteous, even if it risks everything.
And so then he actually mentions, he goes, I don't know why, but this ability to rise above and like, you know, rise above the monsters, like give
let go of your humanity.
Annie seems to be doing that. I don't know why she's doing that, but whoever is willing to do this the most will prevail.
Yeah.
And then that's when Armin's like, all right, well, I got to go fight
Peace out,
now.
bro.
I gave you all I can give you, bro. Good luck.
Then more
Hope
rubble falls on
And
Eren. He gets further impaled.
Dude, the hero, yeah, that's right, because that rock like launches or whatever, the debris, and so Armin and Jean like have to like.
Bro can't catch any breaks, man.
So Armin like pulls his blades, like is actually goes into fight mode and goes out there to be a hero and like runs up to Annie and is like, your gambling talk is useless, you piece of crap, unless you're willing to kill me right now.
I know. I'm like, let's go.
He's like,
I like
goading the angry bear. Let me hit it with a stick.
Like half crazy Armin is like OP Armin. Like that's the only Armin I want around, is like deranged, love-stricken Armin or something. I don't know.
Poor Armin.
Yeah, so they go after Annie. Annie goes to swing on, and she's been fighting some scouts like during this. And something we didn't mention is the other scouts go in and she kills some of them. Obviously, she's really good. And they say something that's really important is she can detect our ODR, our base.
She knows the maneuvers.
ODM gear maneuvers. Yeah. And so that goes to show you why certain people have had no effect on her. Jean was like owned immediately. Reiner barely made it out with his life. Almost all these guys who have attacked her have either died or barely made it out. The only people who have had any effect whatsoever, Levi and Mikasa. Why? Because they don't use no basic.
They do all the spinny weird crap.
Basic. They do the uber like anime awesome crazy cool stuff, coming at different angles, switching, moving around.
Yeah,
and
spinning
the other
through
people
the air like maniacs.
The other people who had a little bit of success were the elite team, remember? And they used all these fake outs where as Eld went forward and then juked backwards. They shot stuff out and through the cloud. Then they stabbed her in the eye. They had to use all these like feints and hints. It's like a boxer. If you come at Annie with just like a straight like 1-2, you're a hose, man.
She knows
She's gonna counter the heck out of that, right? Yeah, but you got to come out with a couple feints. You got to jab 5 times in a row. You know, no one expects that one. You got to like throw a hard hook. You know, like throw a windmill kick, punch your grandma. You got to do something really weird.
just go crazy
out of the blue.
Slap your grandma,
and then you attack her because she's too good to know your basic moves, right? So John and Armin here are like, okay,
team.
Let's go, and they go up like psych, and then right as Armin like taunted her, John goes to slash, and she gets the hand up, gets hardens the fingers, dang.
So he take off.
They skate away like this way, and they're kind of like zipping around. I'm like, man, that'd be an awesome game of tag though.
Yeah, wouldn't it? On super high speed
through a city,
super high stakes, no less. She could kill you.
You know, none of these people are wearing any form of like aviator like goggles
glasses. How do they see?
Or helmets? They probably swallow a ton of bugs.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
it's disgusting.
I want to count.
Yeah, you're right. No helmets, no knee pads, nothing. Just go for it, guys.
Their joints have got to be killing them.
They've had 100%. A lot. They've been concussed multiple times.
So Annie gives chase, and then we cut to one of the best. There's so many good moments in this episode. We cut to.
She's literally drooling.
Drooling
with anticipation.
And like panting.
She's like, here she comes.
Here she comes.
Hanji-san, you got that crazy look in your eyes again. Hanji's just waiting there drooling behind a billboard or behind a building or something like that.
With her crazy little like...
I'm like a bad politician. I'm always flip-flopping on who's my favorite character based on the moment. But like right in this moment, it's Hanji. For sure.
She is as creepy as ever. Like, seriously...
And we realized, wait a second. Yeah, why wasn't Hanji attacked? Where was Hanji
Where
this whole
has she
time?
been this whole time?
Oh.
Hiding.
She was planning another
She's
trap
part
on
of
top of
Plan
the second
G.
trap. Yeah, she's part of Plan C. And it's like, good thing Erwin has more than one plan because he's risking it all. And good thing we went with Commander Erwin and not freaking Eren over there planning our movements.
She literally says, I thought a plan C was overkill, but Erwin really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
I
So
agreed.
Annie runs around the corner to chase after Armin and Jean, and sure enough, there's a bunch of harpoons there, and they
net.
shoot, and she
And
barely
like
misses.
a spiky net thing.
Yeah,
They
spiky
trap
net
her.
thing.
And the first thing Hanji does is get down there and take out her knife and go right
Put
for
it in her
Annie's
eye.
eye.
She's like, be a good girl. I'm going to savor the information I pierce out of you. Or what would she say?
Yeah, basically.
Squeeze out of you.
Something like that.
But we were just praying. We're like, just do it, Hanji.
And
no
then
mercy.
her eye like focuses and she's like
About to pull a
snapped
stunt.
inside.
Annie, yeah. And she
sweeps the leg.
Unfortunately, sweeps her
Sweep the
leg.
leg. Put him in a body bag.
Destroys all the barrels. It pops up like nothing happened.
So she takes off and she has all the things, the
Plan
harpoons
C
in her.
has failed.
Plan C has now failed. This is what I was saying, is it literally goes to Plan D. Because Plan D and Plan B are very similar. Eren fights.
Yeah.
But this is Plan D because Plan C has also failed. So we've gone down the line.
Part of the reason I think that Plan C failed was because they didn't have as much access in a 1 day's notice to all the harpoon guns.
Yeah.
It was
craft
it was
all
Well,
as good as
doesn't
they could
Hanji
do.
say that we didn't have enough harpoons or we didn't have enough traps
Yeah,
or
it wasn't
something?
enough traps, but it's like you planned that other expedition for a month.
Yeah.
True.
This
A lot
was
more
like,
time.
what can you do in a day?
3 days.
And I'm not mad at that. Like, they did pretty stinking good. And if Hanji would have just started like just hacking at her, like maybe they could have done something more. But you thought you had her. I understand. So Annie's loose again. She's escaped. She's running off.
With harpoons like dragging behind her.
Yeah. So Plan C's failed. All looks lost. And we look to our hero Eren, trapped amongst
His
the rubble.
internal struggle is going on still.
He's
He's still wrestling with his morality, but then he realizes that Jean and Armin are right and that he needs to let go. It doesn't matter what's right or wrong. It's time to fight.
He says, I've failed before. And he's kind of still playing a little bit of the emo vampire, but he's coming out of it. It's like in the dark, bloodied, messed up.
he's like
He starts thinking
rising.
about the things Mikasa said. He starts thinking about his comrades that have died, that Annie destroyed, and you see flashes of Levi's squad,
Starts thinking about
dead.
his mom.
And
He
then
watched his mom
then
get
he
eaten
thinks
in front
about
of
his
him.
mom, and yeah.
Remember
Then
your
he gets the
original
crazy eyes.
motivation. He's like, I'm going to kill them all. I'm like, yeah, get back that good Eren. The Eren who wants to kill them
Then
all.
he
Eren.
creepily starts shoving his body up through the place where he's impaled, and blood is like literally foaming out of the corners of his mouth. It's pretty
He's
disgusting.
got a
actually.
stick and he's like getting up against the stick, driving the stick deeper
Into
and
his
deeper.
lung.
It's like, dude, I don't know how you're not dead yet, but I like it. Let's keep going, right?
And then he says one line where I feel like there's another kind of like profound thing to like extrapolate here. But he says there's no time to think about whether it's right or wrong. You just have to act.
Yeah.
And as incorrect as that statement sounds to you and I sitting here safely, with our iPhones in front of us in a nice warm room, comfortable at your job or in your car or something like that.
Mhm.
When in combat,
Yeah.
when faced, excuse me,
Or an emergency.
when faced with life or death, that's
Kind of the only.
what the author's doing here is giving like words to feelings that happen, because in anime you can like pause a moment for forever and like really get into like
And now with
give
feeling.
like lots of language to like the immediate like split second decisions and emotions that a character's feeling in super slow motion. That's what's happening here, and he's giving language to exactly what happens in real life when it is fight or die. It's not fight or flight, it's fight or die.
Right.
It's like you have you hear about the situation, again, back to like first responders or, people who've been in military combat situations and so on and so forth. Like you get into that moment and the like finer nuances and details of what would be the most, rational
Humane
and correct
thing to
way
do
to, no,
right now.
it's just react now, do it because your life is on the line. And that like must be given consideration in real life. And honestly, like,
Mhm.
that is like for Eren to go from giving up to no, fight or die is the spirit of Eren encapsulated. Like
Yeah.
he acts like himself a lot. 'Cause
It's
he's, like,
also
kinda always
not
himself.
just fight or die. It's fight or die, and all your friends will
Yeah.
also die.
Fight or lose everything. Exactly. So yeah, the stakes are higher. It's not just my life is on the line, but it's like the life of people I love and friends and people around me are on the line. And he's able to draw that. He's able to say, all right, give up everything. It's time to act. It's time to just do. Stop overthinking and go execute the plan.
And we know scientifically, I can't think of it right now, but it's the zone in your brain, right? The fight or flight zone in your brain. What's that called?
Amygdala?
No, I thought it was the amygdala, but it's that other.
Hippocampus.
It's the one that.
Your limbic system?
Yeah, your limbic system. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Your limbic system, we know when you're under immense stress, it eliminates a lot of your ability to properly process the nuance of anything. Things become black or white, live or die, right? And so you don't make great decisions when you're really stressed out, when you're under fire, when you're really freaked out. You make the best decisions.
Split-second decisions.
When you're at peace, when you're like in a chill spot. And it shows like, if you ever look at the charts, it'll show like these giant crazy jumps in your processing. And in those jumps, it's like seismic type like jumps in your limbic system, make it so where you're not able to make clear decisions. Well, you're not able to really think something out. Like, well, objectively, how does this make me? No, you can't do that because your body's like, we don't have time.
We're going to die.
Yeah, you don't have time
something
for you to war and peace this thing. You got to figure out right now, tic tac toe, X or O. What do I do right now in the moment in order to save us? And so that's why when you're really stressed out, when you're really freaked out, when you've just been in like a car accident or whatever, you shouldn't make crazy decisions. You need to chill out for a minute, take some deep breaths. You need to get your heart rate down. You need to start breathing until you can, your limbic system will chill out. You'll be able to make cohesive decisions about what's going forward. But in this situation, Eren needs to make the decision. Look, I can't, he says, don't try to end things all nice and neat. Like, I can't do everything perfect. I'm not going to be able to save everybody. What I can do is I can save some people. I can try to do the best good I have right now with what I've been given. And I need to fight. And he says, we live in a cruel world. And that's when the thunder strikes. Erwin explodes up.
Erwin sees the thunder. I love that cut. They cut to him and he sees the lightning and you just know that he knows.
Aaron's like, oh yeah, it's about to get good up in here. And we don't hear the roar. We thought we were going to hear the roar.
I did probably my best impersonation of the Eren roar, which I will not attempt to do. That's bonus content. Listen, y'all.
It was pretty decent,
It's
I have to say.
better than the Wookiee impression that you did.
The Wookiee impression is not great.
So, yeah.
Mine is absolutely terrible, so it's fine.
We don't see him, which is great cinematography. We don't see him. We just hear boom, boom, boom.
And he shatters the window that he runs past.
Yeah, just with the force.
Like the superhero thing. And he slowly turns around.
She's like, oh crap.
She turns around to get the fist of justice. Blam! Right across the jaw. You're like, yeah!
And of course he breaks his freaking arm in half again.
That's okay.
But this time he actually makes contact with her face.
As long as you do it on her face and not on the ground.
It's delicious.
We'll count it.
It really is.
And this is how you know that they're gonna give you the final episode of a season that you wanted. That's the thing about a lot of movies. This comes up all the time in the show, but we're always talking about. I'm like, dude, Hollywood sucks these days. Like, their stories are lame. Like, their stories are lame because they don't have anything original left to do. They're all just a bunch of woke hypocrites. But nonetheless, one of the things they suck at the most, and everybody knows, is they can't end anything. Like, the endings are always so not satisfying. Yeah, they're so ambiguous and they don't achieve anything. There's no then the moral of the story, there's nothing. It usually just ends in a big pile of crap, which is why people complain about it all the time. Big pile of ambiguous crap. So
yeah,
that doesn't happen. If you haven't watched the last episode, I mean, you know probably what's coming here. I'll just leave that to your imagination. But good grief, this punch is super satisfying, and you're about to get a final episode where
my notes, I just put Eren punches Annie in the face. Annie's screwed.
Yeah, she
her
gets
face
knocked
tells
into a
you
building.
that. And then he runs towards her. Ah!
She looks up and she's like, I done screwed up.
I'm gonna die.
This isn't good. I'm in the interior. I'm really far away from any Titans.
Surrounded by enemies with ODM gear, and now Eren's gonna punch me in the face.
And now motivated Eren is just transformed.
She won last fight, but listen,
only
it was
because
close.
she shocked him.
Yeah, it
honestly.
was close. She was sweating.
Yeah, and this is refocused Eren. I don't think it's gonna go down so easy, and so it's going to be a great last episode.
So if you want to really dive into that episode, you know where to come, and you know what you should do. You should either hit next if you're listening to this posthumously.
Oh,
nice.
Or
that's your vocabulary
you're gonna have
for
to
the
wait
day, folks.
Probably till Friday or something like that, because we're trying to do a couple of weeks. So when that happens, though, you're going to come here and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this episode's great. I want to talk to my good friends, Eric and Pete and Rachel about this.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to go to facebook.com/beyondthebasementpodcast and maybe watch it there live next time. Or
on the
YouTube,
replay.
Beyond the Basement Podcast. Or better yet, when you're so pumped and you're so like, oh my gosh, you guys are super right and this is so satisfying.
Nice case.
I am. Praise God for iPhone cases. I did slam that a little hard.
I know.
But you're going to come in and you're going to be like, you know what I need to do? I need to email these guys and tell them something I noticed that they missed because they're dumb. You can do that as well. beyondthebasementpodcast@gmail.com.
You could also send us memes.
Yeah, or maybe you're going to be like, you know what? This has got me so psyched. I'm going to like their Facebook video. I'm going to like their YouTube video. And I'm going to leave them a 5-star review
That'd be
on
sweet.
iTunes.
The 5-star.
And you know what we're going to send you? We're going to send you 5 hearts.
Yeah.
From our heart. We're going to give you a heartfelt salute is what we're going to give you.
True salute. An Erwin salute. All right, guys. Well, again, appreciate it for listening. This is the end of the spoiler-free section of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it through this time without spoiling too much.
Hallelujah.
It's Annie. Annie.
She is not okay.
If you don't want to spoil the show, you can go ahead and shut it off right now. Come hang out with us, of course, on the various social media platforms, the aforementioned ones. And otherwise, this is your final warning. Push pause. I'm stalling.
Spoiler
so you have time.
alert.
Final countdown.
This is the final
Pete's about to take off his
countdown.
Ba-da-da-da-doo.
Okay, countdown from 3 in Japanese. Darn.
Ichi-ni-san. Yeah. San Nichi-i.
Sanji.
Yeah, I'm really itchy right now. I gotta get this jacket off.
Spoiler.
Let's go. Okay. What did Molly say?
That's my Eren, dude.
That
Did
was
you hear
good.
that? Oh my gosh. All right, it's going to be great.
What'd you say?
What? Oh, we have a comment?
And that's very similar. There's no time to think in the combat said by Matt.
Yeah. Maverick quotes some Top Gun. Let's go.
Oh.
Let's go, Molly.
Yeah, I feel like I need to watch Top Gun again. So
I do too.
It's a good
Molly,
movie.
so if you guys were watching live on Facebook, you would get to be a part of the comments. A friend of ours is commenting about Top Gun. I feel like I need to go watch that just so I can cross-reference it with Attack on Titan.
Well, she's like, the reason that, I didn't know it was Annie at first is because I was inverted.
Oh.
Top Gun
Oh
quote.
my gosh. Okay. All right. So now I have to watch it.
Okay.
Dude, 80s movies are the
I
best.
feel a need for ODM speed right now.
All right. So the first spoiler I have written down is going to be probably one of the longer ones. So I'm going to skip it.
I
and
don't
save it
have
for last.
spoilers.
Well, you do, Marco.
I'll say one.
Well,
Okay, hit me.
Okay.
Can we do Marco? Or do you want?
You almost spoiled it, and then Rachel luckily
Oh, the Reiner
danced
one?
around it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Annie actually
welcome.
cutting off the fingers.
that's what I'm here for.
She
Mikasa-
did the real version of what Reiner
Pretended
in
to do.
season 1, but we know he didn't really. Annie actually.
Well, he
didn't
did
crush
it,
him.
and then he first he carved something into her hand, and then he did it.
Well,
Yeah.
but he didn't do it for real.
He didn't
She
for
wasn't
real
actually
do it.
going to kill him.
He probably
No.
would have
Yeah.
been dead had he not had her on his team. And
Yes.
so,
He doesn't actually have that much skill. He just made it look like he had a lot of skill.
but
No,
Mikasa actually has the skill when life and
Yes.
death's on the line. She's like, whirlwind of blades, come at me, bro.
dude, you know
Yeah.
that drummer? This drummer's at the wrong show.
Oh,
This drummer-
yes.
Like that's Mikasa and freaking Levi when they do that
Yes.
move. That or is it Link in Super Smash Bros? Who has the move where they spin up and they do that
It's Link. Yeah,
It's
she pulls
Link,
the
yeah.
Link.
dude,
Mhm.
it's very similar.
Very satisfying. So Mikasa actually is that
Maybe
good.
Mikasa's an elf. I'm just kidding.
Reiner's not that good. Marco.
Yeah, okay, so the Marco thing is again, it's not the world's worst spoiler. I just want to talk about it freely here. I did not realize how central his what seemingly small character
Yeah.
arc was until this particular watch through of the show.
Yeah, because
He's
we're going
actually
through and
super
we're-
important.
'Cause
We're
we got
noting him
through
while
season-
alive.
we got through season 1 and we're like, oh, it sucks. The other one of them died. Season 2 he's not mentioned at all.
Mm-hmm.
Season 3 they're like, oh, wait a second. You guys are the guys that killed Marco? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, who is Marco again?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. You have
the
to kinda
guy
go
that died.
back.
Oh, yeah, I remember. That's really sad. And you're like,
Well, season 2 is so much about subterfuge and all the corruption and everything. So a lot of stuff gets lost.
but coming back to season 1 and rewatching it with the eyes that I have now, knowing what I know, I now value Marco
Even more.
Yeah, well, you kind
Way
of
more.
I value everybody, all the characters a lot more that I know are going to play a part later, but especially him because he's
He's like the
a bright
motivator.
light.
Yeah,
Well, he's a positive, bright light in a very dark world.
it's true.
when he dies in this dark way and like a sadistic kind of way, it's like especially gut wrenching to know that like he was essentially, I mean, it's murdered, but what's it called?
He was betrayed and murdered.
Yeah, betrayed and murdered. Yeah, in like the worst kind of way.
He trusted those three,
and it was Annie and the gang or whatever that did that, and that's why she had his gear.
Yeah,
is because they like freaking sacrificed this guy. It just the whole
and
thing
it sucks
is so dirty.
too because like if you look through the whole them going through their training and everything, he was one of their buddies. He was hanging out with them a lot, like all the time. So it makes that betrayal even more.
And he had the
sinister.
Barnabas. He had the Barnabas going, the encourager, man, the constant like.
He was like the heart of their little group.
He was like I don't know who's somebody RPG that buffs everybody.
Oh, let's see my RPG. Peach has the.
He's the MVP.
Has all the
healer, buffs.
Ooh, Marley in Chrono Trigger. She's the one in the blue. Okay. These are all old Super Nintendo games.
He's the supportive role. He's the wind beneath everyone's wings.
So, dang, dude, that one makes me sad. All right, so can we get to the? Do you have any more? I want to get to the one that's good.
I think that's all my spoilers.
Like I said, I didn't really have anything.
Okay, so spoiler, not spoiler, is, one of you guys said this during the show. If only Annie could be on our side, because we were talking about how skilled she is, and then when you guys said that, and I was like, oh, gotta save that one for later.
It would be cool if she turned code.
Please, by some miracle of Armin's sweet little face
and his love for her,
could he? Do you think? That they'll turn her? Do you think is this a story? Is this something we're longing for, but we're not gonna get?
Okay.
I don't know, man.
I have something to say about this that I think this episode may reveal. Remember, Armin says, "I don't know why she has this like ability to like take these risks and overcome, cast aside like her well-being to try to like accomplish her mission. I don't know why." That to me was like, we're gonna find out why.
Yeah.
I didn't know we'd have to wait till season 4 to find out why.
Yeah.
But I think we're gonna find out why she is the way she is.
What makes her the way she is?
Yeah, and I think they're gonna try to make us feel bad for her. I don't know if it'll work. I kind of feel a little bad for her, knowing that she was a child manipulated and used and abused.
We've seen her father
groomed from childhood to be an assassin.
But I'll tell you this much: everyone still makes their own free choices, and she has freely murdered lots of people.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, all right, I need to ask myself
as Becca has pointed out, she was enjoying it when she was doing it.
Yeah. But suppose she comes back around. Suppose Annie repents from her sins. Do we receive her back into the fold? Do we trust her? Not just forgive her. I'll forgive her if she wants to actually say she's sorry. But
I'll forgive Ryan.
For Marco?
There's still consequences.
But I don't know, man.
All I'm saying is, listen, like emotionally, I'm gonna be bitter for a long time. But if she comes in clutch to save humanity, I'm gonna give some room, because here's the thing: is my guess is that Armin and all of his Arminness basically makes an argument to like trust her, even though she's kind of a loose cannon, and that he has to my guess is that he has to persuade everybody else semi-successfully that she's worth trusting again, even if it's like, I feel like it's going to be a mysterious, like, will she do it? Will she come through? Will she not come through? Is she going to turn us? Like, there's going to be this, like, it's going to be a gamble in the same way that, like, her whole arc here has been about a gamble. I feel like it comes back to that, where it's like, it's a gamble to trust her this time, but maybe, like, but we know she has the goods. Let's just, like, shoot for the moon.
I think it would be cool if, like I was talking about, sometime earlier, about if we get into a crazy battle on Marley, things are going down, people are getting liberated. It's the Beast Titan versus Eren versus these other Titans. Things getting crazy, and all's looking lost. And then Annie shows up and helps Eren, and we think, she's gonna join, her dad or whatever side. Yeah. And she joins Eren and Armin, and we realize that Armin's had some words. Flashes back to Armin, like, kind of like tipping her off or whatever,
giving her the persuading
because
talk.
I'll forgive her if the fruits of her repentance are destruction
Victory.
of Marley. Yeah,
okay,
that's my condition. If
I
not,
get down on that.
If say they took over it's probably how it's gonna go, but so they take over all of Marley. They like unfreeze her from the crystal, and she's like, "Oh, really? I'm so sorry." I'm like, "I don't care. You didn't help.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't help? Hanji, get over here, eat this right now. Okay?
Yeah, seriously.
I want Hanji to get Annie's power if she's not gonna sacrifice her life for the greater
if
good.
anybody was going to have it, it would be her.
I don't know if I want Hanji to become a shifter because then she won't live for very long and all her sciencey stuff will be lost.
Well, unless she can figure out a way to extend the life
I don't know.
of a shifter.
Yeah. Maybe.
She's pretty dang smart. So.
It's true.
This is a huge can of worms to open, but I'm just going to say it. What was Zeke doing for all those years? Like, he has a Titan. We were talking about the time limit on life. He has that same time limit, but he wasn't out in combat out there and
Well, we don't.
How did he become the war chief?
We don't know when he got that power.
We don't.
Right.
It could have just been a month before.
But not. Okay, all right, fair enough.
It doesn't make sense. He probably was the war chief for a lot longer. What was he doing? Yes,
but
very
what
important.
has he been doing this whole time? Like, is because our theories
since he
of
betrayed his parents.
Yeah.
Our theories of them having like
people who
multiple.
suck.
Yeah, seriously. Our theories of them having like multiple like fronts of war.
Yes,
is kind of what makes me think like, okay, he's a war chief because he's actually been fighting elsewhere.
Yeah, he's been fighting
war.
Another modern nation as a Titan, throwing bombs and stuff like that. And then now he's like, oh, I got to go back to those pesky, Paradisians.
Eldians?
And Eldians, but they live in Paradis.
Yeah.
They go there because my party I sent hasn't come back and they haven't accomplished their mission. So, yeah, I think that's probably what it is. We'll find out.
We will. Season 4 coming up October. It's happening really soon.
2020.
If you lived in Oregon, you would already think it was October because the weather here is just the
Some of the trees are actually changing color. By the way.
No.
Yes.
It's raining
I will
in July.
Send you,
July?
I will send you a picture.
5th.
There are 2 trees out in front of my work that are starting to change color already.
They don't have any idea. Those poor trees.
Pray for us, you guys. It's getting rough out in here.
All right. Well, Beyond the Basement podcast at gmail.com. If you have any thoughts, please, mega readers, do not spoil everything for us. It's difficult to not read your emails.
Thanks for being along for the journey.
Yeah.
Thanks for the feedback.
Cheers.
Go find us on YouTube. Go subscribe. And if you already subscribed, like the video. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Gentlemen and ladies.
God bless.
Goodbye. Thanks again for watching and listening. If you're enjoying the show, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. If you're really loving it and you want some extra cool content, you can join our Patreon page over at patreon.com/beyondthebasementpodcast. Check the show notes or our social media pages for links to some really rad Attack on Titan merch. All right, guys. See you next time.